G'day folks, welcome to another episode of Silence is Golden, coming to you live from Studio A here at WP Elevation headquarters in what used to be the world's most livable city, Melbourne, Australia. My name is Troy Dean.
And I am Simon Kelly.
And on today's episode, we'll be talking about the fact that the six-figure freelancer is on the rise. That's right, new data is revealing that there are more and more freelancers making over $100,000 a year, which is excellent. We're also talking about the fact that people are a little bit wigged out by self-driving cars. And we're also going to share what made the Wii come out. And we're also going to explain why we have a candle, a cherry blossom candle burning here on the desk. Stay with us. $12,919 people like us on Facebook. Hey?
Not bad, not bad.
How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm very well, man. Very well.
I just saw a little clip of Ray, and it just like blows
Oh,
my
yeah, I
mind
know.
the change because that
I
wasn't
know.
that long ago, was
Well,
it?
dude, he's like,
That's
like
amazing.
oh, here we go, here we go. The door's opening.
Happy birthday! Woo! Happy birthday!
If you can't
look at
tell,
this.
it's
It's just
Troy's birthday today.
to ya. Happy birthday to you.
it's crazy town. It's crazy town.
Happy birthday. Woo! Day. Happy birthday.
It's like the Village People. I feel like I'm in a Village People film clip.
All right, we're just gonna fade away when the stripper comes in. Here he comes now.
Happy birthday, Troy.
Oh, thank you. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Excellent. I'm captain. Wow. That was just absolute chaos. Look at that. And like that, they were gone.
That's it.
As quickly as it happened, it finished. Thanks, mate. Thanks.
Did you
It's
get
like
that?
I didn't have tinnitus in that ear anyway. Now I do. Appreciate it. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. It is my birthday, and that's why we have a cherry blossom candle on the desk.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, I just like candles.
Yeah. Out of all of this, that's the most confusing part.
Is
I
it?
reckon if someone tuned in now, they'd be like, "What is that candle doing there?"
Really? Nothing wouldn't be the hat or the streamers or
Just
anything.
blends in.
No.
Totally blends in.
Wow. Well, I hope that was fun for you and not as frightening for you as it was for me. That was just frankly quite terrifying.
What's the plan for today? What have you got?
Well, I'm here. I'm
Yeah?
sitting next to you
That's
on the
I'm-
desk. This is the first time in a long time that I've actually worked on my birthday.
I'm honoured that you would want to hang out with me.
Well,
Is that what's happening?
well, I don't know, man. I mean, use the word loosely.
Yep, perfectly.
I might put that-
Perfectly loosely.
No, the truth is that my wife is working this morning.
Okay.
So
I'll
we're
keep
gonna
that
have
in
we're
case
gonna
that needs to be
we're
added
gonna,
in at the end.
we're gonna have lunch.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, she's gonna come in and we're gonna have lunch.
Somewhere local?
Probably
In the
yeah.
hood? Plenty of good
Yeah,
spots.
so there you go.
Awesome.
The candle's here because you smell funny, and that's an aromatherapeutic
Yeah.
candle.
When the week
To
comes
just-
out and there's too many nuggets.
That's right, just to
sometimes-
get rid of the Simon smell. That's right.
Sometimes it gets a little rough in here.
So thank you for the birthday wishes. I'm very lucky and very honoured to have such crazy friends who do such crazy things for me on my birthday.
You see, you were just looking beforehand that Dan Doherty had a little...
Dan Doherty, thank you very much. He made me a keto birthday cake, which is basically 2 all-beef patties with candles in them.
Looks good.
So,
I hope you'll be delivering that shortly.
Yeah,
Yeah?
thank you very much, Dan. Love it. And look at this. Trying to watch ourselves on the iPad, and I need to install the Adobe Flash Player. Look at that. Isn't that just ridiculous?
Yep.
That's just not
We're
going to happen.
sorry you can't do what you're
Sorry,
trying to do
Adobe,
right now.
I'm not installing the Flash Player on the iPad. All right, so where were we? What else is going on?
Is that the Let's
There we
have a
go.
look. Let's
There we
have a
go.
look and see what happened
yes.
this week.
Stuff that happened.
Don't mind me.
And we're
I'll
back.
just fix my hair after the hat's been on there.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Makeup.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Cool. So Gutenberg block library is out. That provides a searchable index of individual blocks so you can add into the old Gutenberg. Have you given it a spin yet? The
What?
old Gutenberg?
No.
No, me
I'm
neither.
not a believer, mate.
Did you see Christina Romero posted up about that some client, one of her clients or a couple of clients actually clicked the yes, I'd love to try it. Oh, my site's broken.
Yeah. I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer. I'm not going to be using it anytime soon. No.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not a believer.
So there you go. Cool. Another thing that happened was that the LONOREADS merch store was launched in, I think it was June, with WooCommerce and PRINFUL. And I was just fascinated that they decided to go with WooCommerce because, like, I have quite a few WooCommerce sites, but Shopify, it's just, it's really good. And if I was going to start a new site, I would really need a strong case for why to go with WooCommerce.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Shopify, as a customer who has an internet shopping addiction. What are you looking at me for?
Oh,
I love the Shopify experience.
that needs to.
Love
We
it.
need audio in the studio.
Yeah, we
'cause
do.
the
Don't worry,
fact
we're
that I
getting-
didn't hear
that's
that
right.
it upsets me a lot.
We're getting audio in the studio. Don't worry, we are definitely getting audio in the studio.
I'm so happy that you had that together.
That's fantastic.
Max. That's awesome.
The Shopify experience is amazing.
It is. It's fantastic.
Hamza Hakalani says, "Yo, time to sleep, but can't miss the episode." And
Awesome.
says happy birthday.
What time is it there, Hamza?
What time is it, Hamza? And Beck Waterhouse says happy birthday, and
Oh.
Jennifer Franklin is laughing.
Everyone's-
And Mitch says happy birthday, and David Hibbert is laughing, and Jeffrey says happy birthday, and Amber Neville says happy birthday. Thank you very much for all the kind birthday wishes.
That's quite nice.
I
isn't it?
appreciate it. Yes, I know. I'm in my 30s now, so.
Again.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
You prick. Apparently the 30s.
I won't be on
is-
next show.
Yeah, apparently the 30s is. That's right. Who are you? Yes. Max, do you want a job?
Ben
Max
was
is
pretty
shaking his
keen.
head.
He'll jump straight in.
Max
I
does not
reckon.
want to sit next to me on the show.
Yeah, fair enough.
What else happened, buddy? What else is going on?
So the Waymo, the company from Alphabet, which is like Google's parent company, they've been having self-driving car issues. People have been swearing at the self-driving cars as they refuse to turn right at a speed that people are happy with. And there was a tweet that came up that I thought was pretty good about this article by Joshua Brustein. Says, this story about Waymo's problems is excellent and makes it sound like living among robots as they learn to drive is really annoying. Like it's frustrating being in the future. Like life is so hard in Phoenix, Arizona because this car is going slightly slower and it's driven by no one.
Wow.
And not enjoying the fact that we've come to that point. Like that's amazing.
No point
I
beeping the
welcome
horn.
our-
Come on, mate, get out of the way.
Yeah. I, for one, welcome our robot overlords.
Too funny.
If you're a Simpsons fan, we'll bring back some kind of memory. Max, you with me? No? He is. He's
He
all
is.
over it. Thank you, sir. Cool. Something else that happened with Skype. Do you want to give this one a go? Are you just watching videos?
I'm
Is that
trying
what's going
to. I'm trying to pull us up. Here we go on Facebook, so I can respond to the comments. I like responding to the comments. You see, I like
Unexpected error occurred.
It's 1:16 a.m. where Hamza Hakalane is, and I hope I'm saying your
good on
name
you,
right.
Hamza.
I like engaging with the people on the Facebook. You see, to make them feel like they're part of the show.
Yeah, well, they are.
That's right.
They're the part that matters.
In other news, Skype has decided that all of the changes they made over the last 6 months were horrible, and they've decided to get rid of the squiggles and the stories, and they've realised that their core user is above the age of 4, and they have rolled it back to what resembles a semi-useful app to make phone calls, instant message chat, and video calls.
Yes.
Don't know what happened, don't know where they were getting their advice from. but
Everyone's
the-
doing it. I
Doing
think that
what?
was like adding stories and all that stuff.
I don't want stories on Skype.
That's
I don't
right.
want stories on Instagram.
I
I don't
heard
want
you
stories
like
anywhere.
So I put stories in your stories.
If I want stories, I'll go and watch the news.
Ah.
I don't want stories anywhere,
Just
particularly on
watch reruns of
Skype.
Silence and
Skype
Golden.
stories. I mean, that's where are they?
I have no idea.
Isn't
Like,
somebody on
where
that
did
product
come
team
from?
at some point go, hang on, squiggles? Like,
Yeah.
4-year-olds is not our target audience.
Yeah.
They got that-
Asana stories.
horribly
Just
wrong.
Add that into the workplace.
Yeah, and on their user voice page, which is where you go to make recommendations on what they should do with the product and you vote other ideas up and down,
Yeah.
apparently everybody just says, bring the old version back that worked.
Yeah. There's just
Yeah.
overwhelming responses for bringing it back.
Who would have
Yeah.
thought?
Go back to
would've
when.
thought?
Remember when it was working? Let's
One
have
thing
that.
Skype does really well, I used to use Skype to record the podcast.
Right.
That was just my go-to app, right, for recording the podcast. And then we switched to Zoom. Don't ask me why, but we switched to Zoom.
Why?
But I said don't ask me why. We thought because when you record video on Skype, there's a bit of post fluff you have to go through to actually. You have to use call recorder on Skype to record the video, and then you have to kind of do a bit of fluff afterwards to separate them into separate tracks so that then your video editor can put them side by side. Anyway, Zoom makes it a bit easier. However, Zoom compresses the bejesus out of the audio and the video. So when you publish an episode of the podcast, all of the audio kind of sounds like this, because Zoom is not meant for a podcast recording platform. It's actually meant for instant, really quick video conferencing for remote teams. So it compresses the hell out of the audio.
So it can like transmit the data faster or
Correct,
something?
that's right.
Yeah.
If you've seen episodes of Silicon Valley, you'll know what compression algorithms are all about and why they're the hottest thing in Silicon Valley right now.
That's right, exactly.
And Zoom do that really well, but you don't want to publish the episode of that because it sounds like crap. So we've actually gone back to Skype because Skype does that really well. It actually transmits high quality audio, and our podcast is sounding much better as a result.
So like recording wise, how are you doing that? Through that Ecamm recorder?
Yep, so we use Ecamm call recorder to record the podcast. In fact, what we do now is we just pipe these microphones and our guest's microphone directly into Logic in a dedicated podcasting machine we have here. We'll make a whole episode about this at some point. We'll make a whole video how our podcasting process.
Last week it was live streamed, yeah?
And
you
so
can
that's
actually
right.
check out the
so
live
what,
stream.
so what
of
we're doing,
last
that's
week's.
right, correct.
Yeah.
What we're doing now, that's right. If you check out the live stream last week where I interviewed Adam Yelich from My Goals, we live streamed the episode, and we're going to be doing that. We're going to be bringing guests in on Skype. We're going to set up another camera over my shoulder so we can capture the guest on the screen, and we're going to be live streaming the podcast, which removes the need for us to do any post-production on the video.
Yeah.
And we're recording the audio directly into Logic, and it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, awesome.
If I do say so myself.
Epic morning.
It was an epic
content
morning.
production with Adam. He was
100%.
amazing.
Yeah,
What a
yeah.
champion. First time he's ever been on the live stream as well.
Yeah.
So he tackled that like a boss.
Yeah.
I was very impressed.
Like a boss. Yeah.
There's another article that came out was new data, six-figure freelancing is on the rise. Was there anything in particular from this one that stood out for you, Troy? You were kind of doing the intro for this.
Yeah,
off camera before. This
ju-
is something that I think is close to your heart.
It is, but just a quick sidebar here, pun intended. Mitch Britt said they are phasing out Skype eventually to become Microsoft Teams.
Oh.
Lord,
Nice
no,
one, Mitch.
please help us. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Teams need stories and squiggles.
Oh, God.
Don't
New
they?
data.
Then they'll bring it back again.
Yeah, six-figure freelancing is on the rise. And what this basically means is that there are more and more freelancers. This was a research study that was done in the States.
Research says.
Research says, report says. The report says a lot, doesn't he? New data, six-figure freelancing is on the rise, which means there are more and more freelancers making more than $100,000 a year in the gig economy. And so that's a combination of doing freelance client work and maybe driving for Uber and maybe also, doing some work on Airtasker or TaskRabbit in the States and not sleeping at all, just working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year in order to make $101,000.
Yeah.
No, I just made
It's
that
pretty
bit up.
sustainable.
Which is good. Beck Waterhouse says, six-figure freelancing, I'm clearly doing it wrong. Well, Beck, there's a lot to learn about freelancing, and just because you're a freelancer doesn't mean you should be getting paid peanuts to do work. I don't think you can do $100,000 a year driving for Uber. I would imagine that these people freelancing are actually doing, creative service work for clients. It'd be very hard to do $100,000 a year, I think, driving for Uber or working on Airtasker.
Okay.
You'd be working a lot.
There's a lot of IKEA furniture.
Yeah,
putting
that's right. It's a
together there.
lot of IKEA furniture
You'd be
to put together.
putting it in the back of the Uber, putting together this furniture.
Correct, that's
while you're
right.
waiting your
Driving
next
for
fare.
Uber, yeah, there we go. That's called leverage.
Yeah.
That's value stacking.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah. But the good news is that there is a huge shift towards the freelancer market. A lot of people are leaving their jobs and going out and freelancing, which is awesome for us because that's what we do. We teach freelancers how to run successful businesses. Nice segue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Into what?
Into something I'm very excited to see. It's a testimonial from I believe it's Pete Perry from Mavericks.
Yes.
So I'd love to take a look at that, and it always brings back awesome memories from the last time we had the mastermind. And I think we're about just shy of 4 weeks away from the next one in Thailand.
Well, we leave here in 2 weeks' time. We leave here 2 weeks on Friday. We leave for Thailand. We're spending a week in Thailand having a company retreat, which basically means getting drunk and throwing gin in the pool.
How far can we throw?
Well, that's the hashtag.
That's the game.
How far can we throw gin?
Yeah.
That's the hashtag. And then then we've got a weekend to recover from our hangovers. And then the week after that, we're running a mastermind for our Mavericks Club.
Okay. You can't get a hangover if you don't stop drinking.
That's
So,
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's my
Not that
strategy.
we condone that kind of behaviour.
Yeah, I'm just saying as a fact.
Drinking and throwing gin in the pool is very unsafe.
Yeah.
Make sure you throw gin in the pool first and then celebrate by drinking.
100%.
Well, I've been to 4 of these events with Troy and WP Elevation, and so I knew I couldn't miss this one. This is my 4th one. I've been able to watch the evolution of the event. It gets better and better every time, and just had to be here. The whole flight path that he introduced this time definitely is going to take my business to the next level. It's going to provide a lot of clarity for my company, and to be able to take that and distribute it to my clients is going to be amazing. So the knowledge and the tools that Troy and team provide you each time you're here at an event like this definitely help you elevate, to use his word, elevate your business in one way or another. So it's something different each time that I take home with me and execute for my team. And then on top of that, like that's all amazing. But the cherry on top of it is you build relationships with some really incredible people. There's 15 people in this room that are like-minded and brilliant and have an abundance mentality, and everybody wants to share and help, and it's just amazing. It's an amazing, amazing event.
We just took a screenshot there of Pete Perry watching himself.
Hey, that me.
Hey, that me. Hey, Pete. Good to see you,
What's
buddy.
up, Pete?
Welcome to the show. Yes, that is Pete Perry. He was, of course, out there in San Diego. He's one of our flight instructors here at WP Elevation and was out in San Diego helping us facilitate the Mavericks Club Mastermind, which was awesome. And we're doing it all again in a couple of weeks in Thailand on the beautiful island of Koh Samui, which is where I had my honeymoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice one.
This will be about the 4th or 5th time I've been to Koh Samui. One of my favourite places on the planet. And yes, we will be going to Dr. Frog's for pizza one night.
Oh, cool. All right.
Hashtag not keto, hashtag don't care.
Let's hope Ray has some emergency steaks handy so he can load up.
I'm sure they have steak on the pizza. You just take it off the pizza. Don't eat the base, just eat the steak.
Have you been to Matcha Milk Bar in St Kilda?
No, I have not been to Macho Milk Bar in St Kilda.
Matcha.
Matcha. Oh,
Yeah.
no, I haven't been to Matcha.
It says going vegan is a missed steak. They've got so many
That's very
puns
good.
on their menu. It's
Going
amazing.
vegan is a missed steak.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
So there's some exciting things that happen, and when exciting things happen, sometimes a little bit of dribble comes out.
That's right.
Was there anything? Has there been anything recently for you that's
Yes.
made it difficult to keep it in?
Well, I've been walking to work again now that it's not
That
quite...
shouldn't make the week come out.
No, it
just so
doesn't.
you know.
No, it doesn't. But not now that it's not quite sub-zero temperatures here in Melbourne. It's pretty bloody close. But now that it's not quite sub-zero, I've been walking to work again because now I'm in my 30s. It's very important that we stay fit as we, go through our 30s. So I've been walking to work in order to keep my fitness up as I mature. And Mitch Britt says, Simon Kelly with the dad joke.
There's so many more I want to say. I just want to say a big hi to Amy. My project manager is watching the show. So, hey, Amy.
There you go.
I'll talk to you later.
And so I've been walking to work, and what made the week come out is that my favourite podcast has released season 3 of my favourite podcast has just come out, and I've been listening to it on the way to and from work. It is, of course, Masters of Scale with Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, one of the PayPal, well, they call them the PayPal Mafia, one of the guys that basically started with PayPal along with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. I think Peter Thiel was one of the PayPal Mafia as well, one of the early investors in Facebook. So Reid Hoffman's podcast, Masters of Scale, is just absolutely epic. We're currently
What is it
listening.
about this?
It's about scaling business.
Yep.
What
about it is like, do you find the
Well,
most...
first of all, the production is incredible. It's produced by a company called Wait What, and they are a podcast production company. So it sounds like a radio program. It's highly edited. There's lots of sound effects. There's lots of original music scored. There's fantastic interviews. Reid narrates the whole thing through. It's great storytelling. There's a real journey. There's lots of lessons to learn on each episode, but you're actually listening to a story. You're not just it's not just an interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big production. I mean, this stuff takes a long time and a big team to produce. They have like 5 executive producers, or 5 producers, 1 executive producer. They have a team called the Holiday Brothers who write all the music for it and record all the music. It's recorded in Los Angeles, mixed in New York. So it's a big production.
Hashtag podcast goals.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Correct. And it is fantastic. So I strongly suggest, if you like listening to business podcasts and you like being entertained at the same time, tune into the WP Elevation. No, I was kidding. Tune into Masters of Scale because it is the podcast that we aspire to be. There you go. I just made that up.
Yeah,
But it's
sure.
true.
Yeah,
nice
absolutely.
little soundbite though, isn't it?
No, absolutely perfect.
Reid Hoffman, thank you for all the work you do. Masters of Scale is the podcast that we aspire to be.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So what we're going to take a look at today in terms of some gold nuggets that we'd love to share with you is all about auditioning your clients. So let's jump in.
Time to dig into the gold nugget.
So when it comes to auditioning your clients, this is like a little bit of a flip from just like accepting everything that comes your way and actually deciding whether or not you want to work with a client, right?
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Of course I want to work with a client. They have money.
Yeah.
Wrong answer.
Good revenue and bad revenue,
Yeah.
right? Like if you keep just accepting everything that comes your way just because it's there, it's not necessarily going to help your business. You'll be doing custom work. It's not repeatable. It's not actually helping you grow. It'll just keep you in the red zone, as we were talking about yesterday.
There is
Keep grounded.
revenue.
That's
Let's
not-
keep grounded.
keep
That's
you
right.
grounded.
There is revenue. There is profitable revenue, and then there is profitable revenue with zero turbulence.
Oh, nice.
It's
Well
good,
done.
isn't it?
Good learning.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hey?
yeah. Using it
So
immediately.
that's right. So what you want is you want to work towards profitable revenue with zero turbulence.
So what is turbulence?
Well, turbulence, for example, if you are a web designer, shock horror that we would talk about that. If you're a web designer and you are working with a client, and this is a true story. I had a client who, hello there. I had a client who wanted to build a website for her dog yoga and meditation, a dog massage and yoga business. And she paid the deposit and then subsequently disappeared off the face of the planet with her content. To this day, I don't know where she is. It's been 10 years. I don't know where she is.
If you're watching, don't get in touch.
Don't get in touch if you're watching. She owes me the other half of the deposit, which I think, the other half of the project, which I think works out about $7.50. And I owe her a website, which is never going to happen. Right. So that is a nightmare of a client. Well, actually, not a nightmare of a client because they paid me the deposit and then disappeared. I didn't do a lot of work. I did a bit of work.
Is that scalable?
Well, here we go. Hey,
The
take your
deposit
deposit.
collector.
Take the deposit. See ya.
Yeah. And then they leave.
That's
Not
right.
you.
Yeah. So
I'll stay right here.
if you're almost about to ship a website and the client is dragging their feet on the content, and then you end up sitting on that project for another 3 months and you can't finish it because they don't give you the content, that's a nightmare of a client. And your profit starts to go out the window because you spend your whole time chasing them because you want to finish it, because you want to get paid. And especially if you're only getting paid 50% up front and you're waiting for 50% on completion and completion never happens, then you're actually funding that project and you're losing your profit.
Yeah.
That's one example of bad revenue with turbulence.
Lots of turbulence there. So
Lots of turbulence.
being able to audition your clients will help you overcome turbulence, help you increase revenue, and help you build a more sustainable, profitable business.
Yeah.
Yep. And auditioning in many ways is being consistent, like sticking to your process. And like I like to call it like hoops that they need to jump through.
Yep.
Got to give them a couple of things to make sure that okay, if you move in this direction and do that thing, then that's a tick. All right. If you fill in our intake form and you fill it in completely, that's a tick. Right? If you follow my process, that's another tick. And all of those things come together to mean they're going to be a more compliant client and there's less chance that there'll be turbulence.
Yeah. I always use this example. By the way, hi to Kylie Martin and Angie Neal who are watching on Facebook. How you going, ladies? Thanks for joining us.
Kylie's very consistent tuner-innerer.
She is.
Yeah.
It's great to have your company here.
Definitely.
I always liken it to going to the doctor. So when you go to the doctor, what happens is you walk in without even knowing anything. You just know that you have, like without being trained, you know that you have to walk up to the receptionist and check in, right? Who are you? Yes, my name's Troy. I'm here to see the doctor about my foot or whatever it is. Nothing wrong with my foot, by the way.
And they say, questions than it answers.
And then what happens? That's right. Then what happens is they say, "Okay, thank you. Take a seat. The doctor will be with you, probably late. when it suits him.
Yeah.
So you just sit there and wait and read those bad magazines from 1987 and watch that crap infomercial on television.
You don't email him, hit him on Messenger, SMS him, call his friends.
That's right.
Yeah,
and
you
put up
just
with the
have to
annoying
wait.
child pulling the toys apart and making a lot of noise and with the smelly nappy. So you just sit there and wait in this horrible experience, and the doctor will be with you when it suits the doctor.
Yep.
Then you sit there and you wait, and he's late, of course, or she's late. And in fact, there's a doctor's surgery around the corner from my place called Doctors on Time. That just goes to show you how broken that model is. There's actually a business called Doctors on Time, and their promise is that they will always see you on time.
Oh, I thought it was just like the herb you use, like rosemary and
Oh,
thyme
yes,
and
THYME. Doctors
Yeah, yeah.
on Time, Doctors on Rosemary.
Yeah.
Keely Worth says, morning, folks. Hi, Keely. Richie
Like
Harries
polar
is
bears
here
on
from
ice.
Wales. Hey, Richie, how you doing? Polar bears on ice. Polar
Don't want to
bears
see
on,
that Disney show.
Polar bears on crystal meth. And anyway, so then the doctor comes to see you. You go in for 15 minutes. They, Google some stuff, and they say, yeah, here we go. Here's some cream. Take this home and put it on. And then you walk out on the foot. Take it home and put it on your foot. Then you walk out. Before you leave the building, you have to pay the bill. Right? Once you've paid the bill, you leave. If they've done their job, they lodge it with Medicare, you get a little bit back in your bank account a couple of days later.
Yep.
That's the process.
That's right.
It's not negotiable. You don't walk in and walk up the receptionist and say, well, I'm here, I've got a few minutes, can you get the doctor out here immediately?
And
then-
this is urgent, I need this
This is
now.
urgent, right?
Yeah.
And the doctor comes out and
you're-
says, come in. And you say, no, it's all right, mate, I just want to do it here in the waiting room. The rash isn't that big, it won't take very long.
Yeah.
Can
You
you have
don't
a
mind
look
if I
at
cut in
this?
front, do you?
Yeah, can you have a look at this? And then he says, all right, well, here's the cream. And you say, thanks very much for the prescription. Send me a bill. I'll pay you in 3 months.
Yeah, I've got heaps
Right?
of friends I'll refer you to.
That just
I've got
doesn't-
heaps more issues. I can't wait
Correct.
to
That's
share them
right.
with
I'll
you.
refer you all my friends. That just doesn't happen, does
I've got
it?
2 feet. The
Now-
next one's
now,
got heaps more problems.
why is their process not negotiable?
Why?
Why is their process not negotiable? By the way, this process that doctors have, this isn't a thing, right? This isn't law. It's not legislation. It's just something that they agreed was a good business model for them, right? But why don't we negotiate on it? Why don't we push back? Why?
Positioning. They've positioned themselves. There's an authority level there.
Correct.
And they consistently follow the same process
That's
every
right.
time.
And they wear a white coat sometimes and a stethoscope. And so we are putty in their hands.
That's right,
Because
exactly.
they have the answers sometimes.
And it's actually a comfortable process because you know what to expect. You know how that's going to go, apart from when you step
right.
into their office. But
Correct.
you know how that initial process is going to go. It's better for the doctor because they don't have to deal with the admin BS. They don't have to deal with you complaining at the front desk. They get to be in their sweet spot, doing their thing day in, day out, without having to deal with all the extra crap.
Correct. Nick Millard says, morning guys, saying hi from not very sunny Queensland. Well, hi from sunny Melbourne. It's sunny in Melbourne today. Of course it's sunny because it's my birthday.
It's beautiful day
And
today,
so
isn't it?
it is. So it was 3 degrees when I left the house this morning, but it's going to be 18. So.
I did a 3K run this morning, and then I did the Wim Hof breathing and cold shower thing, which was
Wow.
intense.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been doing it every day for like 5 days now.
Why?
I'm reading this book at the moment, Master Your Day, Master Your Life, or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, Run Your Day, Run Your Life.
Right.
And I'm just following it like it's just telling me what to do basically.
Right.
So
Like
hopefully-
a good student.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Leading me towards the cliff, and it will hopefully not tell me to jump.
Yeah.
I would.
More Cohen says, yes, this is all true, but they have to look at feet. I think she's talking about the doctors, which
Good
is true.
point.
That's
Good
right.
point.
Brinard, hey everyone from the Bahamas. Get out of here, Brinard. From the Bahamas? That's fantastic. April Weir says, happy birthday. Thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Much appreciated. So the idea is, and this is why one of my favourite lines with clients when
Yep.
we do what we call the Go Wide, Go Deep discovery sessions, and for those of you who are members of WP Elevation, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And for those of you who aren't WP Elevation members, you should join the program so that you know what we're talking about. For those of you who are familiar with the Go Wide, Go Deep, one of the things I like saying is, think of me as a doctor. I can't give you the right medicine unless you tell me all of the symptoms. That's why I'm asking so many questions. And as soon as you plant that seed, they're like, oh yeah, right. And they trust your process, right? Now, here's the thing though. They will only trust your process if you have one and if you are consistent and stick to it.
Yeah, consistency is absolutely key.
Correct.
Yeah. And when you're getting started with developing your process, practice is key, and it can feel really uncomfortable to get started and doing something that's just not accepting everything that comes in, and that's absolutely all part of it. If it doesn't feel uncomfortable,
Like wearing a new thong. It takes a little while to...
like wearing an old thong as well. Because that, or someone else's, that's also uncomfortable at
You
the
do
beginning.
know, you do know that we're the only people on the planet that refer to flip-flops as thongs. Everyone else watching this has a different interpretation of the word thong.
I wasn't.
Yeah, we're the only ones that wear thongs in our feet. My American friends go, "What do you mean you wear thongs on your feet? How does it even work?" Because to them, a thong is a G-string. Yeah. I just had to spell it out for you.
just in case.
Just in case you didn't know.
The penny drops.
The penny dropped.
Cool. So some of the ways that freelancers can help to have their own process and be auditioning clients. One is to have an intake form, right? Is to be asking questions, and it doesn't matter where the lead comes in. I'm getting a lot of leads come through, and a lot of conversations that happen via Messenger at the moment.
Yeah,
and at
Facebook,
the beginning it was
absolutely.
really awkward. I was like, it must be through email. This is not my process. But now it's like, yeah, that's just how it happens now.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, I don't have saved text or anything, so it's harder to write a long email, which is actually fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'll just thank them for getting in touch, love to learn more about your project, and then point them over to the project inquiry form, and just keep following that process consistently and follow them up. And that seems to be working fine, but not skipping that step. Like, if that's my step and that's my process, then stick with it and always do that. Doesn't matter how hard the client pushes to try to get a meeting right now. Can you meet up for coffee? All that stuff. It actually helps you if you push back and you follow your process. There was on the book that I'm listening to at the moment.
The book that I'm listening to at
That's
the
right.
moment.
That's the world.
There's a
that we're in.
conversation that we wouldn't have had 10 years ago.
Yeah,
hey?
well, I'm in my
the book that I'm
self-driving
listening
car
to at the
getting
moment.
sworn
That's
at.
right. That's right.
Yeah. One of the first designers of the Apple logo, I can't remember what his name was, but he was talking to Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs was saying, I'm just going to call him Steve. Steve was saying, oh, can you put together a couple of options for me? And he's like, no. I can solve the problem that you're having. If you want options, then go and speak to multiple designers, but I will solve the problem that you're having. Yeah, and Steve Jobs
Fantastic.
later was quoted as saying he's one of the most professional people that I've ever worked with.
Yeah. A couple of things here. Oh, the Facebook Messenger stuff that you're getting, is that coming from your personal
That's right.
or your page? Personal. Okay, I've got a tip for you here in a moment that I'm going to share with you.
Hit
First
me.
of all, Richie Harry says, hi guys, I know this isn't relevant. That's okay, Richie. We
a
understand
good
that.
start.
We understand that is your job now, is to ask completely irrelevant questions. I don't think this is the first time you've been here. But do you have British soap programs over there? No. We make soap programs and export them to Britain. That's what we do here, Richie. It's called Neighbours and Home and Away. We don't get, I think we used to get EastEnders, but we don't get many other British soaps.
Max is nodding his head.
Yeah,
and
we used
I'm
to get
just confused.
EastEnders. But no, what we do is we make bad soaps and we send them to you guys. Kate Taylor says, do you have a template for a project inquiry form? Kate, if you were a member of WP Elevation, you would have that. If you're not a member, you should fix that problem right now. Here's the thing about Facebook Messenger. I know this isn't the tool of the week, but this is something else actually that I just remembered.
You do your thing.
Is making the we come out. I've discovered, here's the problem I have right now. I have multiple incoming messages from email, from Facebook Messenger, and believe it or not, from telephone calls. And I use a VoIP telephone to call people and have a conversation with them, right? And I'm like, someone pinged me on Facebook Messenger the other night and said, I want more information on blah, 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 on Mavericks Club. And I said, okay, great, no worries. And then I looked at that message and thought, that's going to fall through the cracks unless I put him somewhere right now that reminds me to follow up. So I went Googling, as you do, for a CRM to capture email, web inquiry forms, Facebook Messenger, and telephone. And I found this little tool that I'm loving so far. I'll tell you what it is in a moment, but I'll just tell you first of all, the way I'm using it is I've got pipelines set up. So I've got a pipeline set up for Mavericks Club members. So anyone who's interested in Mavericks Club, they go through a series of stages in our sales pipeline. It doesn't matter if they come from a web form, email, or Facebook Messenger on a page, not personal. It only works with Facebook pages. So someone pings me on Facebook Messenger about Mavericks, I'm like, hey, can you go ping the WP Elevation Facebook page, leave a message, it automatically pipes it into this tool. Nice. And then I can chat with them on Facebook Messenger directly from within this tool. Yeah. I can then email them from directly within this tool. And I can call them on the telephone using an integration with Twilio directly from within this tool.
Sweet.
And it records the calls.
Jeebus.
And puts it in this tool.
So can you do this from your phone? Can you be on your phone messaging, or it's got to be on the old desktop machine? Desktop's
How's that for a screenshot? There you go, Maddie. There's a screenshot for you. Not sure if you can do it on the phone or the desktop app. I don't know.
That's all right.
You can do
As
it on
you
the
were.
desktop. I don't know if you can do it on the phone. I'm not there yet.
Yep.
But then you just move people through the pipeline through a series of your sales process. By the way, if you don't have a sales process, you should have a sales process. Move them through the sales process until you either win or close or lose the deal, right? So I've got one set up for Mavericks Club. I've got another one set up for potential JV partners who want to refer people to WP Elevation. And again, I move them through a process until they agree to promote our webinar on our behalf. The tool is called Ammo CRM. It is spelled A for Apple, M for Mike, O for Oscar, C for Charlie, R for Romeo, M for Mike. AmmoCRM.com is where you go to check that out. I'm not an affiliate. I don't get paid to recommend them. I've been using them for about 4 days and I love it.
Nice.
I'm hooked.
See you next week, see if that holds up.
That's right. And like full featured is stupid, like, I don't know, $15 a month or something ridiculous. You know?
What?
Yeah, it's crazy town. Silly. So there you
That's
go.
insane. Cool, there you go. Something for me to check out.
Yeah, another shiny object for you to go play with.
Yeah, that's right. Don't have enough of those, clearly. So we're using an intake form. We're using a way to put all of our communication together.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely important.
Yep.
Following up. Always be following up. So a good friend of mine is on the sales team for a big medical supply company, and he's just talking about always securing the next meeting.
Is that where you get your drugs from?
Not all of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
just the good ones.
I need to diversify because they keep needing my license.
Just look. Oh, I know. I hate that. Don't they? I hate that.
Far out. I've
What else
moved
can
so
you?
many times.
What else can you
recently.
cut it with? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a bit later.
Okay.
Yeah,
Off
cool.
air.
And
Off
always follow your process. So use an intake form, follow up, always secure the next meeting, and always follow the process. Be consistent, right? Okay? And that is how you audition your clients.
ABFU. Always be following up.
Nice. ABFU.
ABFU. ABFU. There we go. Trademark.
Yeah.
Let's trademark that.
ABFU,
ABFU.
TM.
Trademark.
Yep, I like it. What do we have next on the list?
Richie says, wouldn't mind you guys working on our business site in Wales to make it international. Funny you mentioned that, Richie. Funny you mentioned that. I had a call the other day with a girl from a company called On The Go Systems, and they make a plugin called WPML, which is used on about 700,000 websites around the world for multi-language, to make your website multi-language. Richie says, I only get UK orders. And there you go.
Did the goat just come in? Like, is that what went
Where was
down?
the goat?
Like we were doing something else and the goat came in. Is that like a wrap it up kind of thing? It's like the hook coming from the side of the show.
That's
pulling us-
like, that's the, right. Where did that sheep go?
dancing.
It's a goat, Angie. It's not a sheep, it's a goat.
Oh, that cracks me up. All right, cool.
It's a goat.
All right, next on the list. All right, we're like there's always tools. There's always little shiny objects that we like to use in a week, and it's sometimes hard to pick one. But this week there has been one that has stood out.
Get ready for Tool of the Week.
Just before you
Very
do that,
seductive one. I like that one.
Angie said, where did the sheep go? I said, it's a goat. Angie's gone goat/sheep. It's a sheep, is it? Oh, I thought it was a goat.
Me too.
It's a sheep.
No.
No, really? Sorry, Angie, I apologise. I do want to clarify, though, that a goat and a sheep are two different things.
It's a goat sheep.
It's not a goat sheep. There's no such thing as a goat sheep. It's either a sheep or a goat. It's a sheep, apparently. Damn, I thought it was a goat. It'd be funnier if it was a goat.
Why?
Wouldn't it? I don't know. Goat's just more fun to say than sheep. You know that joke? It's not you one sheep, is it? It's you one goat. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yes, Google that if you can.
Google that. You one goat. Google that. It's a funny joke. Google Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney tells
you
a hilarious
one
joke.
goat.
Yeah. It's a good one. So this week's tool of the week is SIP by Product Hunt, which is little digestible bits of news. I actually think that this would be fantastic to have as like tips for freelancers in like little digestible little chunks, and I think that we should build it. It'd be awesome. Have you ever seen it before?
No.
Let's have a quick bloody look
I
at
just
it.
took a sip of coffee.
Oh, that was fantastic. Just so what it is news in the tech world, and basically each day they'll just pull out one particular news. They'll pull it from all different sources, like there's Twitter, there's all like different like Bloomberg and freelancer.com and Entrepreneur. So Lyft hires advisor to prepare for 2019 IPO is the thing. And then the way that it presents it is like one thing at a time, right? Like this is like the new way to read an article, because it's just like you're so engaged in it. If it's something you're interested in, instead of being presented with a big blog post and reading from top to bottom, you actually click to then read the next like sentence or two, and I just find it as a much more engaging way to read news.
You know what?
I'd love to see more of that.
You
kind
know,
of stuff.
you know what we're going to do. Keely Worth, by the way, says best sheep of all time is the goat sheep.
Yeah.
And
It's like a warm Batman.
And Beck Waterhouse says Geep. G-E-E-P.
Better than Shote, I
Geep.
guess.
Yeah, I bet it's better than Shote for sure. You know what we're going to need here, right? Leo Laporte's got these up at This Week in Tech. Very, very fancy setup. In fact, he's my inspiration for building this studio here, which we'll talk about more in a moment because there's some big updates coming. There's some very, very big news coming. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I can tease it. So that's pretty much all I can say. Oh, look, I will just say this.
You already said too much.
Make sure you're watching next week's episode. Next week's episode is going to be... Next week's episode is going to be the biggest, most exciting, apart from the gang coming in and dancing and singing happy birthday today and putting a funny hat on me, apart from that, next week's episode is going to be the most exciting, biggest, most explosive episode we've ever done here at Silence is Golden. So make sure you're watching next week and we will try to go live on time next week. But you know what we're going to need?
That was my fault, by the way.
Totally his fault.
Yeah, totally
you know what we're going to need is we're going to
guys.
need one of those cameras that sits above, right? So when you show something on the phone, you can just put it. We'll have a little mark on the desk so you know where to put the phone, and then you can, and then Max can just cut to that camera, and there's an overhead camera that will shoot. That's what Leo Laporte does at This Week in Tech. It's very fancy. What do you reckon, Max? I'll have to figure that out. All right, beautiful, excellent.
Thumbs up.
Now, how's it different to Feedly? How is SIP different to Feedly?
Well,
I mean, apart from the fact that Feedly's broken and doesn't work.
you're just killing it with tech.
There we go. Tap here to reload.
This week in Troy.
Yeah.
Tech doesn't work. How is it different? So it's one article and it's not, you don't get to pick the curation. So it's curated for you. They're pushing it on
Oh, so you don't get to pick the feeds.
you. No.
Right.
Yeah, it's doing its thing and it's sending it over to you.
Right. I understand.
Yep.
Understand.
Love it.
I think that's good because, you know, like, I like it when I don't choose the source. Because if I choose the source, I end up just living in a little echo chamber. Right? Spotify's a great example. I have like 4 radio stations on Spotify that I listen to. There's Jazz Vibes, which is just, you know, we listened to that in San Diego. It's
pretty good.
And you were like, yeah, this is great. I'm like, yeah, it's the Jazz Vibes playlist on Spotify, man. You can't go wrong, right? It's great working music. It's great chill out music. It's great making out music. Not that we were doing that in San Diego. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
I
we
would
just
never
weren't.
admit that.
That's right.
Finally.
You've been waiting to do that for weeks, haven't you?
yeah.
Mike Snow, one of my favourite bands, M-I-I-K-E, Mike Snow, a radio station on Spotify, and a couple of others I can't even remember. But that's all the music I listen to. But if I say discover Spotify, discover your weekly playlist, and it plays me new music, I'm like, oh, wow, this is cool. I'm really enjoying this. I like the algorithm. They obviously know what I'm into. They're suggesting. But if it was up to me, I'd just play the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, because decision fatigue, right?
That's right,
Are there other
correct.
things that you could choose to do in the day?
Same with Feedly. Like, it's like the same 2 RSS feeds, my blog and his blog, and that's all I look at on Feedly. It's an echo chamber.
Yeah, that's all you need, really. But yeah, it's quite nice having someone else curate it and just give it to you in bite-sizable chunks. Bite-sizable, sure.
Bite-sizable.
Let's go with that.
Biteable.
Cool. So there's been some questions as always in the community.
Oh,
now that we
yes.
have 2 Facebook groups, it's good fun. So let's help some people get unstuck.
Let's get unstuck.
Before we do that, let's explain why we have 2 Facebook groups.
I thought you might do that.
Well, actually, we've got 3. We've got 3, actually. We've got a public one, which is free.
Platinum group.
We've got a public one, which is free, and that's Rockstar Platinum. That's right. The Platinum Door.
Yeah.
We've got Rockstar Empire's community group, which is free, has about 3,500 people in it at the moment. You should join. If you're not in that
Jump
Facebook
in.
group, you should go to facebook.com/groups/Rockstar Empires. And
Check
that
it
will
out.
take you to the Rockstar Empires community group.
You probably have to audition to get in, but
You do.
there you go.
And then we have 2 groups, paid groups for our members. One is the WP Elevation Cadets group, which is for our newbies who are coming through the program and just doing the blueprint, the 6-week blueprint course. And then once they graduate and they get their certificate, then they drop into the WP Elevation Pilots group, which is what he calls the big pool. There's the kiddie pool and the big pool. It's a bit creepy that he refers to it as the kiddie pool and the big pool, but anyway. So that's why we have 2 Facebook groups. And where's this question coming from?
This is coming from the little pool. The kiddies pool.
the cadets
This one
group.
comes from Brendan Allen. And there's a bit of content here, so I'm just gonna chunk this up.
Give us the
a bit.
TLDR
Brendan,
version, will you? Yeah.
and he's really like to hear everyone's thoughts on this. The biggest complaint I get is about clients that see no perceived value in care plans basically wants to know, how can I help clients see the value in care plans?
Oh,
How
that's
can I-
easy.
It is it?
Just hack their website.
Yeah, exactly. So things are changing. Things are changing rapidly. It's getting much easier and cheaper to build websites, like with Wix and Squarespace and all that kind of stuff. So you need to actually know what is valuable to your client. Like if you don't understand that, then how can you convince them that it's value? Some of the conversations that I see quite regularly is how to solve like the lowest value client problem. The problem where the client doesn't see value in something and try to convince them that it is. What about the client that does see value in it and finding them and having conversations with them? So you can give up on them. It's a big world that we live in. Even though you're in the kiddies pool, it's a big world out there.
That's right.
And there's a lot of clients, there's a lot of potential business out there. You don't have to spend all your time trying to convince something something they don't need.
That's right, because you're pushing shit uphill. You're just constant resistance, right?
Exactly.
And so I had this
gap
conversation.
isn't big enough.
That's right. I had this
That's what the
conversation
pain
with someone
points.
on Intercom last night, and I was saying just because they have a problem and you know how to solve it doesn't mean you're obliged to solve it for them if they can't afford you.
Yeah.
And here's the other distinction here: if somebody says they can't afford it, that doesn't mean you're not worth it. It just means they can't afford it.
That's right.
So don't think I have to drop my pants because they can't afford it. I have to lower my prices because they can't afford it. No. Right? If you want to join WP Elevation, it's a $2,000 investment. If you can't afford it, I'm not dropping the price. It doesn't mean it's not worth it. It just means you can't afford it, right?
Yep.
That's all that it means.
Yep.
But I think as freelancers, we go, oh, they can't afford it, so we drop our price. Stop doing that.
Like it's the only possible client that they'll ever
Yeah.
have, and I have to work with them.
Stop doing that. Move on. Find another client.
Exactly. Spend some time when there isn't someone like knocking at the door and saying, "Oh, please drop your prices." Spend some time thinking about who has the benefit the most from what it is that you're doing. What does their business look like?
Yeah.
What does their revenue look like? What is actually valuable with what you're doing? Like what business and what kind of personality of the business owner do you need to be able to make it an absolute no-brainer that they would just say, "Great, fantastic, I'm
Correct.
signing up." Like define what that looks like, and it'll help you filter when people come in and people go out, and helps you sort it out. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Woo!
Like if you're really good at e-commerce, why would you work with someone who's just launching an e-commerce store for the first time and has no track record of sales or revenue or customers?
Haven't even validated their product.
Right.
You're going to be started in that.
Go and work with a Shopify store owner who's already doing 15K a month.
Yeah.
Pull some levers, get them up to 20, 25K a month. Hey, presto, man, they're paying you a couple of grand a month in a maintenance plan easy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I hit my head against the wall many times playing in
right.
that space with the startup businesses. Some startups absolutely fantastic because they're well funded and they've got a growth plan. But if they're like, "Hey, we're starting this thing, is it going to work? I don't know. Do you want to help?"
Yeah.
Sure, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
And the other thing is, another point here is I had a client once say to me, he was doing snow tours, right, to Japan, mainly powder tours to Japan. And he was like, "I'll tell you what, man, why don't you build the website for me and then like we'll do a revenue share."
Sick.
And I was like, all right, here's the problem with that, dude. You are not even prepared to invest in your own business. So why the hell should I? You're just telling me that you don't have the money to invest in your own business, but you want me to invest my time, which is basically my money, into your business. No. I have no idea what your powder tours are like. I have no idea what the customer experience is like. I don't know what your customer support's like. I don't know what the landscape's like in your industry and what your competition's like. Why would I invest in your business that's unknown if you won't even invest in your business? No.
Yep.
Computer says no.
Turbulence avoided.
Correct.
Well done.
Dodge that bullet.
Happy birthday, Troy.
Thanks,
Hope
mate.
you had enjoyed this episode.
I have. Are we done, are we? Is that
And I
it?
hope you have all enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, please, literally, like it, love it, heart it, put a crying face, put some kind of emoji. If you could right now, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to see some things. We got 1 thumbs up. Woo! Thank you so much for being such a responsive crowd today. Always great to see you all on the show.
And big news next week.
News.
Next week, man. You got to tune into the show next week. Tell all your friends to come and join in the show next week.
Tell your
We
grandma.
are going to pull off something live that has never been done before. I'm so excited. We is just coming out everywhere right now. Lucky we've got plastic underneath us. I'm so excited. I can't tell you what it is because if I do, Max will kill me. It's so exciting. We're going to
Pretty
pull something
intensely
off next week live that's never been done before on Facebook.
Cool.
There you go.
Wow.
And it's going to be worth checking out. trust me on this one. Yeah. So tell your friends, turn up, same time next week, which is 10 a.m. Tuesday next week, the 11th of September. September 11. There you go. September 11. September 10 for you people in the States. Monday afternoon. Tune in and check us out. It's going to be very, very exciting indeed.
Excellent. Fantastic.
Cool. Hey, thanks for joining in the celebrations of my birthday. I'm having a lot of fun, and we will see you next week here on the show. I have no idea what that is. We'll see you next week here on the show. Remember, my name is Troy Dean.
I'm Simon Kelly. And remember, knowledge is power.
And silence is golden.